Hey everyone. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done an update here. It's been quite a month. Had some computer problems for a little while, but back in business now. Um, Got a lot done this month. What you're seeing here is a buddy of mine, Jeff, is helping prep the fuel tank for the Pro Seal install that we'll be doing the next day, getting everything cleaned up. My nephew Nathan decided to join us for a day and came over and helped with the process, as well as my father-in-law. Kind of find out that this is quite a process to get this all done because once you crack that Pro Seal open, you're really on the clock. So we got the wing tank set up or I'm sorry, the wing set up all prepped so that we can just toss the fuel tank on there and get it all put on, get it all riveted in, take it off, and then go back through and clean up any holes that or any areas we may have missed with the Pro Seal. Once got done with that, we pulled out the elevator and got all the parts in for the trim tab, and we're just working through getting that squared away here. We actually got a lot of extra parts that I've been sitting on or waiting on getting in, and this is just us going through and getting that on, getting the trim tab itself actually installed. Um, Once we got all that together, it seemed to go pretty well. But it was nice being able to finish that piece up. I didn't really like how I got the position light or the beacon set up on the rudder, so I went back and redid that. And boy, I tell you, after doing all the other pieces, the aileron and flaps are a piece of cake. I almost don't even need to look at the instructions to do it. I mean, obviously do still, just make sure everything's in place. But what we did is, or what I did is just lined the left and right part up with all the respective pieces, then laid it out in the order that it went into the actual flap or aileron. And so once it was all ready to go, we just slide it in and riveted in place. So it didn't really take very long. I mean, I think I probably spent maybe a couple of days or a couple of evenings for that matter on each part, getting it all cleaned up and into position. So this is the flap instructions here that I'm working on next. The flaps are almost exactly like the ailerons. They just have a few more ribs and they don't have the counterweight that's in the aileron. Um, so we're just basically going through, getting all the parts riveted together, get them all deburred and cleaned and all ready to go, and removing the plastic film from each of the pieces. And the bigger ones are always fun. We had an old next door neighbor. We were dog sitting, so she was dropping her dog off and sat and chat with us for a little bit, and I just worked on cleaning things up, getting ready to go. The insides are always a little bit fun to do because you're reaching inside and the edges are, no matter how much you clean the edges, are still gonna kind of scuff up your skin a little bit on that. But it just goes together super easy. Everything fits together real well, and it's just a matter of getting it all riveted together. After I got that done, I came back around to the fuel tanks, and this just kind of seems to be a little bit of a process. I got the riv nuts installed for the fuel sender in there and cleaned some of that up. Um, Once we got that done, cleaned the bench a little bit, and another part came in as well for the elevator assembly. This is for the counterweight on this, and got that all put together. It took a couple hours at the most. It One of the things that's kind of fun about this is just everything just goes together in such a logical way that once you have all the parts on the table, you can almost put it together without the instructions. This is the horizontal stabilizer, and I was missing one leading edge rib on this, which was holding me up from completing this. Got that together and put all the rivets in, and um, that's all done as well. So as of right now, everything for the empennage is done as other than putting it on the plane. Vertical stabilizer here. For those of you who are building your own, you may notice that I'm making a slight adjustment to the vertical portion of the stabilizer. I'm adding on some hard mount points for cameras on the airplane, and the vertical stabilizer is one of them, as well as the VOR antenna, as you see that I'm working on there. The hard mount for the vertical stabilizer, I've got a access panel that I put in that has and you can see there from the picture, there's the hard mount to the left and then a USB port to the right, so that I can maintain power to the camera through the duration of the flight. Again, Build Fly Go has a camera mount similar to that, or actually from the same company, and but he just dropped a wire through the vertical stabilizer, and I wanted something a little bit cleaner. I guess you could argue one way or the other, having a panel, an access panel versus a wire dripping through, but the access panel, I can always replace that with just a straight up panel and no longer have the USB connection on there. I didn't like how the elevator sat with the counterweight on it, and so I built a stand for it so that the elevator can just sit on it like that, and it doesn't interfere with the trim tab or any other components to it, and it's balanced, so it just sits on there. I did attach a bungee to it to keep it all on there. And this is going back through, and I'm just cleaning the Pro Seal off of the fuel tanks from the outside that have been on there since we put it on a couple weeks beforehand, so it was well cured and good to go. But I needed to get it off because I'm ready to move on with the rest of this. The only other, I'm trying to be very faithful to the plans, but there's a couple things I am upgrading, and the fuel sender is one of them. I'm going to do a separate video on it just because a few people in the comments have asked for it. But I'm having to do a little bit of adjustments on how this goes in. So that's what I've been working on here, getting it all prepped. And this right here, I'm doing the last of the Pro Seal on the inside of it. I am going to do a water test on it just to make sure that everything is filled or everything is sealed before I put the cap on. And because I'm out of parts, and I went ahead and brought over a whole bunch of the parts for the fuselage and got them all organized and hung up. I'm still missing a few parts, but I'm starting on that at this point in time. So until the next video, that's where we're at. Thanks.